All right, now we're talking in our third video about the interior of the Gx470, which by nature is very, very durable. It's a very durable interior, but they have a couple of issues. One would be this bolster area here, which commonly wears. But this truck has had covers on the seats since brand new, and plastic on the floor. It's been removed for sale, obviously. I have a brand new set of WeatherTech floor mats that I'll actually put in there, but I wanted you to see the carpet and see how perfect it was and that it wasn't shampooed or anything like that. And this interior just looks like brand spanking new. Also, on the dashboards, there was a recall on the dashboards. They all cracked. All the dashboards cracked in these trucks, every single one of them. But they had a recall, and if you took your truck in by 2017, you could have the dash replaced. This truck has had the dash replaced. Most people didn't take their truck in to get it done because they hadn't cracked yet. So that's one of the bonuses on here. That extension is now void. It's too old to get that done, but this truck's had it done. Also, these trucks came from the factory with 4 keys. 2 master keys, a valet key, and a emergency key. These keys are $400 each from the dealer. Okay? This truck has them all. So think about that when you're buying one of these. These are $400 a piece. Any way you shake it, nobody can recut them. Also, another thing to look at, I mean, around the keyhole tends to chip and scratch and things like that, and you can see how nice it is. But another wear item is every time you put the key in the ignition, the steering wheel moves. And a lot of times, these motors, as these trucks get miles on them, these motors go out. And when the motors go out, they're $1,000 to fix. So it's good to get one with lower mileage. Also, you want to make sure that all of these lights, when you turn the car on, they all illuminate and then go off. So make sure no bulbs are worn out or anything like that. Also, the airbag light. Pretty much most of these trucks, if not all of them, have had issues with the seatbelt connectors and the seatbelt latches, and your airbag light will be on. So most of them have an airbag light that's on. This one doesn't, so if you start it up, you'll notice that it doesn't have any lights on. They all extinguish. Obviously, it's got factory navigation. The Mark Levinson sound package, which sounds great. The rear DVD system. Let's go back and look in the back seat. So when we look in the back seat, we've got our original, what do they call these things? Not earmuffs, but headphones rather, to go for the factory DVD system. And that does work. But if you just look at this interior, it doesn't get any nicer. And like I said, I have WeatherTechs for the whole truck, and they're just not in the truck, they're still in the package. Those were a couple $100. Once again, those VIN stickers we're talking about. You know, rust in the bottom of the doors. This thing is completely rust free. Most of these trucks are rusty, believe me. Now let's talk about the back. I have the mat for the trunk. These are the third row seats that actually fold down. Now what a lot of people don't understand is the third row seat was actually an option. A lot of these didn't come with third row, and third row was added later. So this is the factory third row seating. You notice the headliner's in perfect shape. While we're in the back here, let's talk about the big maintenance issue that happens to the rear of this truck. These trucks have airbag rear suspension. So they have air rear suspension. Well, as these trucks get older, 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old, you start to develop leaks in the airbags. So what will happen is your compressor for the rear suspension will continually run to keep the truck level. So what eventually happens is you have to replace your airbags and you have to replace the compressor. because now the compressors went out and your airbags can no longer keep up, or your compressor can no longer keep up with the airbags, and now you need to spend $500 on each airbag. That's $1,000. $1,500 on the compressor. Okay, so that's $2,500, and then there's also 2 ride height sensors that go for like $400 a piece. So if the rear suspension hasn't been maintenance and those bags replaced and those ride height sensors greased, you're looking at about $3,500 to repair that, and they all go out. I went ahead and had all that stuff replaced with OEM new. You want to make sure that the steering wheel control operates the rear suspension correctly and the truck raises and lowers correctly. If it has the original bags in it, I mean, there's a couple $1,000s right there that you're going to replace right off the bat. So in any event, if you're interested in a Gx470, these are some of the maintenance items that you need to consider when buying a Gx470. I look at eBay and I laugh, and it's like, all right, one owner, 100,000 mile truck for sale by dealer. It's like, okay, the exhaust is original. The timing belt's never been changed. The rear suspension's never been tended to. It's got corroded wheels. They all have corroded wheels. To replace these wheels or refinish them, it's $500, and then they're going to corrode again. So you need a pair that's never been corroded. You know, tires, things like that. So even though these are fantastic trucks that last forever, they need to be properly maintained. And when you get a truck that's this nice to this level, you know, it's going to demand a premium. And I wanted everybody to understand why I'm asking what I'm asking for the truck, but more importantly, why this truck is worth what it's worth. You can drive this truck for another 100,000 miles by doing nothing but changing the oil and turning the key. That's the difference between this truck and every other truck on eBay. Those service records are very important. Not only that, the overall condition of the truck is probably one of the best kept 470s in existence. I believe that. I think this truck would be very hard to beat. Thanks a lot for looking. If you'd like to call me, you can call me on my cell at 630-273-7595. And like I said, this is a one-owner truck.